Hello and welcome to Louise Singleton Creations. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how I made these beautiful resin coasters very easily using a technique that I haven't used before, but the results are really fantastic. I will also be showing you how I do all the edging and varnishing my edging and how I package my coasters ready for selling. I'm not quite sure how I managed to get all of that information into a 15-minute video, but I did. So sit back and enjoy. After mixing the resin, it was time to prepare my colours. And my first pot is one of those shot glasses. I've put resin in there up to the first measurement line. I don't know what the weight was for that. But yeah, it's to the first measurement line. And I've added 13 drops of Pinata white ink. I didn't want the white to be too heavy because I wanted it to float more on the top and move towards the centre for the effect I'm showing today. So that's why I've used ink instead of pigment paste. I just wanted to keep it nice and light. Now the other 2 cups I've filled about 2/3 full of resin. It's those silicone cups. I'm using Resin 8 Sapphire pigment powder in this one, and I ended up using 2 scoops. I wanted it fairly dark. When I'm mixing up my resin and pigment, I like to check to see how it looks on the stick, so that's why I keep looking at the stick, and I could see that it was a little bit too transparent, so that's why I added more pigment. Now for the next one I'm using alcohol ink again, and this is a Copic alcohol ink pen refill. You know, for the Copic markers. It's a refill I bought years ago of my favourite colour, which always ran out, and it's still my favourite colour, and I've got a feeling it's not available anymore because I've looked for it so I can give links in previous videos and I can't find it. It's called Cardinal, and yeah, so Cardinal Copic refill. So that's what I used there. Right, we're ready for the fun bit. And today's coasters are really easy. I've found that I get the best results when I keep it simple. When I mess around with it too much, I end up not liking them. So I've kept it really simple. And all I'm doing, as you can see, is starting with the blue around the edge and trying to make quite an even line around the edge. I'm not putting too much colour in. I'm going to fill the middle with clear. Sometimes I think if you put too much colour in, it can be a little bit of overkill and you don't see the lovely effects quite so well. So I wanted a nice subtle effect with this one. Now I'm adding the other colour, just the same as before, just next to the blue, not on top of it. And I will do that for all 4 and move on to the next step. Now I'm just going to fill up those middle bits with my leftover resin, which I kept aside, and all I'm doing is pouring until all the resin meets each other. So the clear resin and the coloured resin meet, and then I stop. I don't put any more in than that. I only want these coasters about half full because once this is cured, I'm going to fill it up with my heat resistant resin on the top. Now I'm going to add some crushed glass. I'm not a massive fan of glitter. I use it sometimes, but sometimes I just prefer to get that texture with some crushed glass, and this is from Hobbycraft and it's quite a fine one. And then once that's done, I start to add the white, which is the magic ingredient in these coasters, and it really does cause quite a magical effect in it. So I've got a pipette. And these really, once you've used it, it will need throwing away because it's, well, I suppose you could suck some alcohol up into it and rinse it out. Yeah, I'll have to try that. Anyway, I've got my pipette and I've got some of the white pigment and resin in there, and as you can see, I'm just doing a drop at a time all the way around, and then a second circle on the inner side of it, going in between the dots all the way around, just 2 circles. And what happens is the resin works its magic, and the kind of gets sucked, that's the wrong word, I'm sure it is, but they kind of get sucked towards the middle, as do the pigments, and that's how you get the effect. The white travels towards the middle and causes some really lovely patterns, and you'll see when it fast forwards a little bit that there, here we go, you'll see how it comes. I did a little bit of time lapse there, not much, but you can see how it came to the middle, and even after that it carried on working its magic. So this is the next day, and I'm using my heat resistant resin now. It's called Top Pro, and it's from Resin Pro, and it's the one I always use because I love it so much. Yeah, it's just a case of filling it up till it gets to the edges. Make sure you don't overflow over the edges, and as you can see, I've got 6 because I had too much resin, and I used it up, and I made this flower as well. And I was really impressed with what happened with this flower because of the unusual shape of it. The white dots travelled in a curvy line instead of a straight line, and so it's all swirly, even though I didn't do anything different. So I just wanted to show you the flower. I thought it was quite cool. I've got no idea what I will use it for. I think it's probably too small to be a coaster, but still, I really like it. Okay, let's see how the coasters turned out. As you can see, that Top Pro top coat for the heat resistant coating has got a really lovely shiny finish, and that's why I love it. Also, I don't get the Armine blush with the Top Pro, which I have done with other heat resistant resins, so that's another reason why I use it. So here we go. Without that mould on, you can see it much better, and I think it's really subtle, and it kind of looks like a flower, doesn't it? I wasn't trying to make it look like a flower, I just don't know what it's supposed to be. I just really love the effect. Yeah, nice simple coasters which just make you want to pick them up. Instead of putting your coffee on them, you want to pick them up and just admire them. I really love them. So now I'm just going to edge them with some rose gold pen. It's the KRYLON rose gold pen, which was very kindly sent to me by my friend Linny. Thank you, Linny. And I'm just going round, and I think I did 2 coats. Sometimes when you're using a pen to do your edging, once it's dried, you can see little bits where you've missed it and little lines where it's just scratched off as you've been putting it on. It tends to scratch itself off as you're putting it on sometimes, so I go around it again just to make sure. And then it's hard to show you on camera, but this is actually really easy doing the edges, and I haven't made it look easy because I was trying to get it in front of the camera. Normally I just put it flat on the surface and do it, and I'm just kind of balancing my pen and pressing it at the same time, and the ridge on the edge, the apex, digs into the pen so the pen doesn't slip, and it means you can do a really neat line and it's not all messy just because you're balancing it on that corner of the coaster. And here you can see what a difference it makes. It's a very thin line, but it really finishes it off and gives it a really professional look. I love doing those edges. I think it's my favourite part of the process because it transforms it in seconds. Right, so once all the edges were done, it was time to varnish the edges to protect them because you don't want to leave them raw, really. It will eventually scratch off that paint, so I do like to varnish over the top. So what I've done is I've put sticky pads on the underside of my coasters, as I always would, and then I've stacked them all up upside down, and then I've gone outside, put them on a turntable, and I'm using KRYLON Triple Thick, I think it's called, and I'm just going to spray the varnish on as I turn the turntable, and that way you don't get any brush marks, you get a lovely even coating, and then they're nicely protected for years to come. And when you look at them afterwards, if you do happen to get a little bit of overspray from the varnish on the top side of your coaster, you just need to take a little bit of acetone and rub it on, and it will just take it off, and then just polish up with a clean cloth the top of your coasters, and they'll be good as new. But really, you shouldn't get too much of that happening. Right, so now I'm going to show you how I package my coasters, which I think is just as important as making the coasters beautiful. I really like to make things well presented. Here I have some L-shaped labels which I made on my computer, and it just says thank you for shopping at my drawing room, which is the name of my website, and my email address. And it just types along each side. So yeah, I just printed those out. And I also made some labels to go in the middle. I keep them all cut out, ready for whenever I need them. And I cut one straight piece off. So I cut the L shape in half, cut a straight piece off and make it into a Y shape. And so that's how I do it. A lot of people have asked how I do those, and that's how I do it. And then stick my label on, and then you'll see how I attach that in a second. Right, I'm going to be selling these in sets of 2 because they're quite large coasters, and not everybody wants a set of 4 or 6. And I think if you sell in sets of 2, if people want 4, they can just buy 2 sets. And I've cut out one piece of glassine paper to have in between the coasters to make sure they don't stick together. I'm only doing this at this stage to show you how I do it. After I'd finished filming, I took it all to bits again, because really you need to leave your coasters a good couple of weeks before you package them, because there's always a chance that they will get marked by the pads that you put underneath. They could mark the coaster that's underneath, if that makes sense. So right, I'm wrapping the label around. I've already made the bends in it off camera, and then I'll turn it over and attach a label to the back, and it's done. And I just think it keeps them together nicely, and it looks quite pretty as well. And now it's time to put it in the box. I make my own boxes, and I do make templates for them, so I can just print them out and cut them out, and it's really easy. And I do give the templates, whenever I make them, I give them to my patrons over on Patreon. So this box is the perfect size for 2 coasters, 2 of these big round coasters, because it was designed to fit those 2 coasters. And I'm using glassine paper again, and I've done 2 strips with folds in. As you can see, make them in like a cross shape, and then pop in the coasters and put its covers over, like putting it to bed. And then I close it up with one of my stickers and put in the thank you card, and it's ready to go. Well, I say ready to go, obviously it will need to go in something else to go into the post. I wouldn't post it like this. It needs another outer box before you can do that. But yeah, I think it's just a really nice way of presenting the coasters and having a really good experience for the person who buys them and opens it up and sees it packaged nicely. I think it's all part of the buying experience, and that's why I like to do it. And here are some pictures of the finished coasters. I'd love to know what you think. I really love the colours, you know. I think those two, the red and the blue, have made a really beautiful kind of shade of purple, and I really love them. Anyway, let me know what you think. I do appreciate your comments that you leave me, and they're always so uplifting and make me smile, so thank you for that. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. If you've enjoyed the video, that is. If you thought it was rubbish, don't bother. But yeah, please subscribe and ring the bell and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.